Hey everyone, welcome back to Truth Live Shenanigans, the live show, season 2, episode 11. I go by the name Neo Nix, and I'll be your moderator today, February 7th, 2021. For today's show, we've got a quick fire question about the Super Bowl, a TLS spotlight on Black history, and then hot topics, where Liz Z wonders if Supreme Court Judge Clarence Thomas deserves tributes for his place in Black history. Rob B is calling out these anti-vaxxers holding up vaccinations. Gianni Storm wants to talk about a new gun control bill. And my simple question is AOC a liar? So it should be a great show ahead. Before we get into it, let me introduce you to our wonderful hosts, our professor, writer, editor, journalist, and all-around sports guru out of Washington, D.C., Lizzie Enders.
What's up, everyone? Happy Fun Day, Super Bowl Sunday. Who you got? We got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the lion, cheating, ugly, Tom Brady-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who you got?
Tom Brady. So, Lizzie, you're going to be part of a panel of sports journalists on Wednesday. Tell us more.
So on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, February 10th, I am going to be joining Seton Hall's sports media communications panel, where we're going to be talking about, is there enough diversity in sports? So it will be at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. You can get the link. We will provide all of the information on how you can tune in. I will be on the panel with ESPN's Outside the Line host, Bob Lee, former ESPN Sports Center broadcaster Michael Smith, and current Baseball America executive editor and former SI.com executive editor BJ Schechter. So it should be fun. It should be a fun afternoon. The panel lasts from 12:30 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. If you register on the site, you will be able to tune in live and answer questions. And the panel of guests, we will try our best to get to every question, or at least as many as possible.
Wow. Can't wait. I'll definitely check it out. You're awesome,
Yeah,
Lizzie.
remember, I was a sports journalist in my former life 2 years ago.
You're still a sports journalist to us. Right. And our very own rock star with the amazing rock band Fallen Machine, coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Robbie Rock.
What's up? Happy Sunday Fun Day. Very, very special birthday wishes out to my cousin Gino, very much like a big brother to me. And a very, very special happy birthday wish to the latest addition to my extended family. Little Francesco was born early this morning. Mommy and baby are doing well. So,
wow,
yeah.
Congrats.
Nice.
Hey, Francesco. Welcome.
Well, I can only think of Elf Francisco. It's fun to say.
It is. All right, streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, our model, actor, college student, and newly promoted associate producer, Gianni Storm. How's it going, Gianni Storm?
Hey guys. You guys have very exciting news. I can't follow that, but I've had a really good weekend. It's been beautiful. I got to drink some wine and paint, and I feel good this week. So
wine and paint.
Yep, paint and wine, sipping paint.
Sipping paint, nice. Those are fun. My wife and I do those all the time. Those are lots of fun.
They are.
All right. So now that you know our hosts, let's see how they do with our quick fire question. All right, guys, Super Bowl is today. We could talk Brady, Mahomes, but what everybody really wants to know is, what do you think about Abel Tesfaye, a.k.a. The Weeknd, for the halftime show? What do you guys think? Lizzie Enders?
I mean, the brother can't even spell his name correctly, okay? So let's start off with that. I'm really not familiar with The Weeknd. Like, I may have heard some of his songs as it relates to ambient noise in the background, but I couldn't name the Weeknd song if you paid me. I'm not very familiar with, his music. I think I really heard him and pay attention to him a little bit last fall when he made the erroneous claim that R&B pop star, multi-Grammy Award winner Usher was biting his style, was copying off of his style. I'm like, bruh, you better stay in Canada with that foolishness. But yeah, I would prefer someone else besides The Weeknd. I think at the very least, like one of my students said earlier this week, they got the wrong Canadian. Should have been
J-Lo.
Drake.
Oh, J-Lo.
Should have been Drake.
Should have been Drake. All right, Robbie Rock.
She's still Jenny from the block. She's still Jenny from the block. Don't be fooled by the rocks that she got. She's still Jenny from the block.
Robbie Rock.
So, who?
Wait, he's Canadian. Gianni Storm.
Tell him, Rob. He's Canadian and he doesn't even know.
Gianni Storm.
I would like to personally see Doja Cat, if you guys are familiar with her, or Megan Thee Stallion, because they're just like they're just fun, and it's like it's a performance that you're gonna see. So yeah, that would be cool to see them.
All right,
I think we're showing our age here, folks. What's a Doja Cat? What's a Doja Cat?
You probably will know her, but if you hear some songs by her, you'd probably know.
No, I don't think Lizzie would actually.
They're on the radio. They're like, okay.
But here's my thought. Now that he took that creature from Aliens off his head, I'm a fan. I love The Weeknd.
He's cute.
What does his hair have to do with anything?
Man, that thing looks crazy. Do you see it? It looks
like
just like that creature from Aliens. I'm saying. Just saying.
You're gonna get a lot of hate from the dread folks out here, from the folks with their locks out here. Woo,
those aren't just locks. That was something different. I love his locks now.
A sculpture.
Sometimes people who have like split domes, they make fun of other people who have hair. So I'm just saying. Be careful out there.
And personally, I love his music. He's got a nice 80s, 90s vibe to him. Reminds me a lot of Michael Jackson. Plus, my father's from Ethiopia, so I love that he's Ethiopian. He has a shrill in his voice that's like very reminiscent of Ethiopian music I listened to growing up. So I'm excited to see him. I've been wanting to see him in concert, actually. So I'm excited to see him.
He still ain't no Usher. He still ain't no Usher.
I think he's better than Usher.
He's not Usher.
Who are a damn lot? Oh, my God. Don't pay attention to me.
I don't get the infatuation with Usher. Usher's got some talent. I'm not going to deny the talent.
First of all, Usher is a full package entertainer. He can dance. He can sing. He writes
Usher
music.
needs to stop giving them women herpes. That's what he needs to stop doing. He needs to stop giving women herpes.
First of all, you better be careful that we don't get sued for talking about stuff that you don't know about, brother.
Allegedly. You meant to say
Allegedly. He needs to allegedly stop giving.
So the next time we get banned, y'all know why.
If we get banned, it's definitely going to be me this time. All right. If you've never been to TLS before, let me tell you a little bit about us. Our hosts share their truths and opinions with you, call out those lies, and point out any ridiculous shenanigans going on. And on our show, we try to have fun with shenanigans of our own. Our show streams live just about everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch, and TikTok. We're back on TikTok Live. So let's go at TLS Live Show across all those platforms. Also, make sure you subscribe to the audio replay of the podcast. All right, guys, let's get going with our spotlight. All right. So, I'm sorry. Our spotlight is on Shirley Chisholm. So our Black History Spotlight on Black History, Shirley Chisholm. I thought you would enjoy this. Now, we have seen diversity. We've never seen diversity quite like we've seen in the Congress today. But most of that would not be possible if not for the Honorable Shirley Chisholm, who was the first Black woman elected to Congress. So let me pull her stuff up. Yep. And she not only that, she in 1972, she courageously became the first woman, not just Black woman, to run for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. So the first woman to run for president. I'm gonna show you guys a little clip. Her campaign slogan was "Unbought and Unbossed." This is from 1972 after being asked about party support from her candidacy.
Oh, I think it's quite well known that I don't enter most things with the blessings of any party. I think it's quite well known. Anybody who's followed my political career knows very, very keenly that I am the only on-board and unbossed politician. And I mean that
All right
literally.
now.
And I think that you have to recognize that because I am not white and because I'm not a male, that I am not going to get the blessings of the power structure in this country. So I think we're fooling ourselves when that question is asked of me in terms of whether I'm going to get their blessings. Of course I'm not going to get their blessings. Oh, the
I
Black
like that.
Congressional Coalition, I am going to get the blessings of most of them eventually. I don't know whether or not you heard this. A few days ago in New York City, Borough President Percy Sutton from Manhattan endorsed my candidacy. And I think within the next few days, you're going to see the endorsement of my candidacy by many black political leaders in this country, even those with whom there might have been some minor disagreements. I remember that the disagreement really centered around a basic fact in American society, and that fact was women versus women versus men.
So,
Hey.
yes, Senator Kamala Harris recently paid tribute to Chisholm in her presidential campaign announcement by using a similar logo to Chisholm. And many believe the purple coat Kamala wore at her inauguration as the first black vice president and the first female vice president was a nod to Chisholm, who passed away in 2005. And that is your TLS spotlight on Black history, the Honorable Shirley Chisholm. All right. I know Shirley Chisholm's one of your favorites, right, Lizzie?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I was actually pleasantly surprised. So, in my classes at Howard for this past week, first week of Black History Week, I have been giving them images and asking them, can you identify this person? And the majority of my students were able to identify Shirley Chisholm and were very familiar with her. So, all is not lost with our
Nice.
youth. All is not lost.
Nice. All right.
And you teach freshmen, huh, Liz? You teach freshmen?
I teach freshman English, yes. So this semester I'm teaching 5 classes. So I have about 98 students total.
Well, at Howard, they
Nice.
definitely should know their stuff. So they better know. They better know their Black history. All right, let's get into Hot Topic.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, each of our hosts brings a hot topic they want to share with you. We'll ask, is it truth, lies, shenanigans? Our panel will talk about it for a bit until time is up. And then we'll go to our audience for questions and comments. So make sure you're talking to us in all our threads. All right, so last show we ran over time and Lizzie and Rob did not get to their topics. So we'll be starting with both of them today. So Rob B, you've got some anti-vaxxers preventing people from getting COVID vaccines. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
True shenanigans and just the way that we do things, right? So, yes, this was on January 30th. The Los Angeles Fire Department officials reported that anti-vaccine protesters briefly forced officials to close the COVID-19 vaccination site at Dodger Stadium, while hundreds of people were waiting in their cars to receive the doses. So the fire department closed the stadium entrance for about an hour in the afternoon while protesters were trying to access the parking lot where the entire vaccination campaign was happening. So nobody was arrested, but the LAPD deployed a sufficient amount of officers to the stadium, as a spokesman said to the LA police said that all vaccines would be administered despite the delay. So California is working around the clock to provide this life-saving vaccine to those on the front line, and to have these anti-vaxxers show up, and I respect their right to have a different opinion, their right to a different opinion, but when you are presenting physical roadblocks, actually halting the process by which we can get ahead of this, I have to wonder what steps should we be taking as a society to keep these people in their lane? Because LA, last time I checked, 3.35 million cases, over 41,000 deaths. Pretty significant numbers. So my question to panelists is, how should we be dealing with these people who are preventing a life-saving vaccine from being administered in a timely fashion? And let's be clear that these people who showed up are not wearing their masks. They're creating minor spread events. So, Liz, I love that smirk. I want to get you going.
So we should, give our audience, our viewers, a little background on these people. Like you said, they do not believe in wearing masks. The majority of them do not believe in COVID to begin with. They still are going around saying that it's a hoax. But in addition to that, they have now tied the death of Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron, legendary baseball player, Hall of Famer Hank Aaron, died on January 22nd of this year. Hank Aaron got the COVID vaccine on January 6th. So now these anti-vaxxers are saying he died because he took the COVID vaccine, which could not be farther from the truth, which the Department of Health in Atlanta, in Georgia, has already come out and made a statement saying that Hank Aaron, who was 86 years old, died of natural causes. There was no link to COVID. So once again, you have a bunch of people, a faction of people who are giving false information, misleading information, lying, and they're preventing people from getting, like Rob said, actual medical treatment. So if they're that concerned, my question is if they're that concerned about whether or not the vaccine killed Hank Aaron, what about the near 450,000 people in this country who have actually died of COVID? Where's their outrage for that? They're focusing on Hank Aaron, again, where it's been proven that he did not die from the vaccine, and it's offensive to his family. Like, that's just, if you come up with these conspiracy theories, leave other people out. Don't. So I am very much against this. I think they should be arrested. And the state of California is now threatening them with arrest.
Johnny Storm?
I do agree. I feel like what are their intentions? Is it to I think they said to reopen the economy, or is it for selfish reasons? Like it's because you have this ideology about like the pandemic or like the pandemic is a scam or whatever. So I think that it's very weird. It's giving me Christian religious vibes, like when you're pushing your beliefs on somebody. So it's like why have a whole protest surrounding that? But at the same time, I don't knock them for believing what they believe. I don't agree with them or think it's smart, but I don't knock them for believing what they believe and not trusting, our government. I don't. But at the same time, to have to shut down the entire stadium where people are actually trying to seek help because they have fear or they're scared, I think that that's wrong and they should be arrested. I'm sorry. That's the truth, though.
Real quick, I want to do one little quick tangential thing. So I'm having a little online battle with Latoya Blakely right now on whether or not Usher or Weekend is better. So Facebook, Weekend better, Usher. Okay.
So funny.
First of all, so again, you want to drag him, Latoya? You want to drag him, Latoya? Let's go. How many top hits? How many hits does Usher have? How many albums?
He's been around longer. That's all. All right.
Has Usher been around? How many more collaborations does Usher
He's just been
have?
alive longer. That's all. That's it.
Name all of the Weeknd's hits, and then I'll give you the list of Usher's hits. Show me where the Weeknd can dance. Show me where the Weeknd has collaborated with Beyonce.
I'll open the Pandora's box. My bad. All right.
Come on now. And that's not to say the Weeknd has fans. That's fine.
It's not a comparison.
He ain't no Usher.
All right.
He ain't no Usher.
This is on you, Neo. This is on you.
So back to the anti-vaxxers. So there was a while ago that I was messaging back and forth with a friend of mine who's an anti-vaxxer. And man, she kept sending me this nonsense about vaccines and the COVID's not real and all this. And I said to her, I was like, you know what? It's fine for you to believe what you believe about anti-vaccines. My problem is spreading the BS to others. Right? You can believe what you want. You can do what you want. I don't want to hear it. Why are you trying to force your views on me? Right? If I believe the vaccine works, why are you against me taking the vaccine? Why are you against others taking the vaccine? You can make choices for yourself. Fine. No problem. Make those choices for you. But why are you trying to then cause others to risk their lives, tell them lies. What is the point? What are you trying to do? What is your goal? It just doesn't make
Persuasion.
sense to me. But why? Why do you care whether or not someone else chooses to take the vaccine and kill themselves? If that were the case. But that's not the case. We know
Yeah,
that's not
that's
the
true.
case. There's no science, there's no evidence that proves that vaccines are killing 400, a million people as the COVID actual virus has. There's evidence that the virus has killed millions. But the vaccine might, and this is only might because there are some people who have died after taking the vaccine, might have killed 10. But many of those have so far been proven to be unrelated to actually taking the vaccine. It was some type of illnesses that they had. And it just happened in a similar time frame, which is normal. Like if someone gets a vaccine and then they die from natural causes, that's not unexpected. If they already had a heart condition.
Why do you feel like so many people are suspicious, even just this situation, but are suspicious of vaccines?
I mean, so
Well, I think a lot of people that are anti-medicine. Because like you said, it's not just the COVID vaccine. I mean, tons of people are anti-flu vaccine. There was all of
Yeah.
misinformation that was put out about whether or not getting just regular vaccinations in children, whether or not there was a link from that to autism, which has been disproven 1,000 times over. In fact, the original studies that were done on the actual link between autism and vaccines, a lot of false information, false experiments were used in that research, and so that's why a lot of that information was dispelled. So I think people just, they are anti-government in that they don't feel that the government should be forcing us to take something. They are in certain instances anti-medicine. But then you have all of these conspiracy theorists. So whatever you say, if you say it's black, they're going to say it is tie-dye. Like it's people have, their own agendas. And like Neo said, I respect that. If you don't want to take the COVID vaccine, that's fine.
I'm not going to force you.
However,
I'm not
I
going to
have
tell you need to
existing
take it. You
conditions.
need to take it.
I'm still mad that I haven't gotten it yet. I see all these other people
I'm with you
on the internet who aren't frontline workers, who aren't healthcare workers, getting it. And I'm just like, well, why is my doctor continuously telling me that I'm not eligible yet? But yeah, if you don't want to get it, don't get it. Move, like what's his name? Luda said, move, bitch, get out the way, so I can get mine. So I can get mine.
Respectfully, though.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, the less of them taking it, the more of me, the more of us that can. So hey, no problem. But don't be trying to prevent me from taking it. What the hell? Anyway.
And can I just say very quickly, because there's information about why Black people aren't taking it. There's a lot of misinformation out there about the Tuskegee experiment, or this idea now that a lot of Black people aren't taking it. And from what I have observed with my friends, elderly people in my family, elderly friends, a lot of Black folks are looking for that vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Especially elderly people, because elderly people more than young people listen to their doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people are out there getting the vaccine. So don't let this whole, oh, well, they gave us stuff during the Tuskegee. The whole point of the Tuskegee was for them not to give us anything. No one was injected with syphilis in that experiment. It was the fact that they were not given treatment in that experiment. Okay. Folks.
All right, let's get to some of these comments online. So Latoya Blakely says, "Thank you, Nia. Believe what you want, but who are you to stand in my way of me making choices for my life?" Oh, Latoya, the anti-vaxxer that I'm not going to say her name, but you actually know her. So used to play volleyball with us. So so anyway, Mike Winter says, "However true that might be, they also don't believe they are racist for supporting racism."
Wait, what is that?
True that.
I'm trying to. What's the reference?
I think the
Am I missing something?
correlation between the anti-vaxxers, the anti-maskers, the Trump supporters, and if someone is making
That's
just
the correlation.
equating that claim, right? It's okay. So I can make the claim that I'm not a racist while aligning myself with racist organizations and friends. I can make the claim that I'm pro-science and align myself with anti-maskers. But there's been a lot of anti-science sentiment over the last 4 years coming from your top office. So it's no surprise that there's a lot of distrust over the vaccine and that these people exist. But yeah, just step out the way, have your protests along the sidewalk, don't prevent others from doing it, share your message and your misinformation, and maybe someone will share some facts with you and enlighten you, and you'll get in line too.
Right. Mike Wolf says people don't believe in masks because if masks work, then Trump is a monster for discouraging mask use. And Trump supporters are complete fucking idiots for supporting him. And people don't want to believe they're complete fucking idiots.
Preach, Mike Wolf. Preach.
Jeanette Brown says, I'm in favor of vaccines, but I completely understand BIPOC having reluctance. But these are not the anti-vaxxers who are protesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the protest for me. Like, why are you going so hard? There's people that I know that are anti-vaccine or just don't want to take a vaccine, but they're not forcing it or protesting about it. So, yeah.
All right, let's move into our next hot topic. Good topic.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Lizzie Enders. They want your bestie, Clarence Thomas, to have more tributes in the African American History Museum. So is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
It's shenanigans. It's shenanigans. And let me just give a little background history for our audience here. So this week, led by Representative Byron Donalds, a Black Republican from Florida, he made the claim that several other Republican lawmakers are arguing that the National Museum of African American History, aka the Blacksonian, needs to update.
Is that what they call it?
Who they have, and that's what people inside of DC call it, the Blacksonian. But they are calling for a revision of Justice Clarence Thomas's appearance in the museum because they're saying that it does not do him justice, if you will, no pun intended. It does not honor him, and that current exhibit falls short of representing him and all that he has done over the course of his career. So my question to the panel before I start on my rant, my question to our listeners, our viewers, what do you think? Now, please note that he is already in the museum. He is mentioned in the museum. There is a profile of him in the museum. It's a part of Thurgood Marshall's profile and the Supreme Court profile on those two men. But what they're saying is that he needs to be honored. So my question to the panel and to all of the listeners and viewers out there, do you think that, he needs more celebratory speech, more of a celebratory emphasis put on him inside of the museum? And if so, why?
I don't mind starting out on this one. I mean, I really don't know what he's done. What did he accomplish? It's not like it wasn't like he was the first Black justice on the Supreme Court. Thurgood Marshall has that distinction. I mean, he's done nothing. And on top of that, he hasn't done anything to promote Black history. He hasn't done anything to improve African American history. It's all been actually anti-African American history, if anything. That's where his history lies. So, I mean, the fact that he is a Supreme Court justice, fine. That's a reasonable, he's done something as someone of color in America, which is not, historically has been difficult. But other than that, I don't see where he needs any other tributes to his legacy. How about let's go with Robbie Rock.
Yeah, well, I'm like Neo. Like, what exactly did he do? The Canadian in me, it's the Canadian perspective. Clarence Thomas, well, we think of the Coke can and Anita Hill. I mean, we're going to go back 30 years every time because that's what he's done that was noteworthy. But as I was looking through his track record, like no great contributions to African American culture. And from what I was reading, yes, he is a longstanding member of the legal community, and he's one of two black men to serve in the Supreme Court or as a Supreme Court justice. My understanding is that he was a replacement for, so basically we swapped one in, we swapped one out. And other than that, I mean, he's representation, which is absolutely fantastic, and you need representation. But what has he done with that representation? And there's nothing to me that's noteworthy, that's worthy of an honorific, if you will.
Especially since when you consider, like Bobby alluded to, when you consider how he got the seat, how he was nominated for the seat to begin with, he was sworn in after Thurgood Marshall, after the death of Thurgood Marshall in 1991. So then here comes, Clarence Thomas, and if you look at their resumes, they couldn't be more opposite. Here you have, Thurgood Marshall, who was, even before he became a Supreme Court justice, he was a legendary attorney in this country who presided over or who presented landmark civil rights cases. Brown versus the Board of Education in this country. He's a civil rights icon. Clarence Thomas is so far from that distinction that it's not even funny. So for these, not going to use the word, but for these Republicans, Black Republicans, to start up this conversation and compare the two and say that there should be some distinction or some honor of him in a museum that's talking about Black history. I mean, other than becoming the second Black person, the second Black man to serve on the Supreme Court, what other history has he made? Nothing, except for back in, I think, 2016, when after 10 years of silence, he finally asked a question sitting on the Supreme Court. It took him 10 years to say anything as a justice on the Supreme Court, to the point where he finally said something, people were making fun of him.
Yep.
People were making fun of him. So I don't they what they want him to be honored for. They never really made that clarification. So 10 years of silence from him on the bench, he got an asterisk from a certain publication. In 2013, he cracked a joke, words, which was interpreted as a self-deprecating jab at his alma mater, Yale. So in 10 years, those were the only things he said while he was serving on the bench. He cracked a joke. That's it. No questions, no dissents, nothing. He just sat there, probably dreaming of that Coke can.
Gianni Storm.
Yeah, I feel like my opinion on this is not gonna be much, only because I personally I've never heard of him. I've heard of Thurgood Marshall, and I'm not even into politics or government like that recently I am. But I just feel like growing up, of course I heard of Thurgood, but I haven't heard of Clarence Thomas. I think that given, like Liz said, that he is being honored in some way, to say that he was, on the Supreme Court justice, he's honored in that way. So why does there have to be more? Maybe the Republicans are putting up a good defense as to why. Like maybe they're saying
They're not.
He helped in this way. Okay, so if that's not the case, then
they're trying to make, they're trying to make this as a partisan issue, because most of the people who got started or who backed the Blacksonian, if you will, tend to be liberal, tend to be, Democrats or whatever, tend to be on the left. So it's kind of like a jab at them. Oh, because he's a conservative Black man, that's why they're not honoring him in the museum. When you think about museums aren't supposed to be this, okay, we're just going to give you all of these accolades and things like that. A museum is a place where you go to get information. And the proper information about Clarence Thomas is already in the museum. Now, if they want to, make a statue of him somewhere, then so be it. But I don't think he needs anything more in the museum. Hell, he'll be lucky if they don't mention the fact that his wife was his wife, who is white, is a Trump supporter, and she was a supporter of the insurrection a month ago. So they need to fall back. They need to fall back.
Wow, that's very interesting.
That's it for your rant then?
I guess.
Is your rant over?
I mean, we can
Yeah.
go back to Usher
Yeah,
if you want to.
No, we need to talk
He
more
has
about.
he has enough praise. I feel like I agree. I
All
feel
right,
like he has enough.
so going to the comments online. So Vaughn Perry used your word for you. I won't repeat it. I'm not trying to get banned off TikTok.
We
Again,
all
so.
see it.
Vaughn, but it does say he doesn't represent me. I guess Vaughn
He
Perry.
doesn't represent most of the Black community.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that a conservative can't, but a lot of his rhetoric, a lot of his discourse has been anti-progressive for Black people in this country.
Right. And that was my whole point. It's like, if anything, he's been anti, black and pro-black, or he hasn't really helped the community. All right, so Randy Carr says, looking good, Robbie Rock.
Thanks, Randy.
Trinette Young says, I don't think he's done much. Laugh a lot. He should be glad to even be honored. Net Brown says maybe there can be an exhibit on people who hurt the rights of African American despite their skin color.
And he would be one of those people because he's someone who has emphatically spoken out against affirmative action, even though he benefited from affirmative action growing up as he was being educated.
Jacqueline Robb said, exactly, Rob B. Thomas is an insulting replacement for the remarkable Justice Thomas. I don't think anyone else, this is Janet Brown, I don't think anyone else's public hairs, I don't think about anyone else's pubic hairs on sofa.
I think she meant soda.
I'm pretty sure she He said soda cans. All right. Latoya Blakely says, hadn't heard about this, but it really reeks of Blandis Owen. Did she have anything to do with this? Vaughn Perry says, we'll honor him when he dies.
No, we won't.
Yeah, I'm with her. I'm with you on that.
For what? For what?
I will say he really has not done anything.
Condolences to the family, because it's sad, when people die or what have you. Condolences to the family, but he is not worthy of any honor.
Matt Young says he just sat there and got a paycheck. All right. Good hot topic, Lizzie. Thank you. Gianni Storm, next up.
Shenanigans.
Come through, Gianni. Come through.
All right, Gianni, you want to talk about this gun rights bill we've got going. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
This is the truth. Okay. So, House of Homeland Security Representative Sheila Jackson Lee has proposed a bill that would require people who want who want to own a gun who want to own a firearm and ammunition, they would require licensing. It also has a few other things that you need to qualify. The bill would create a national firearm registry, set a minimum gun ownership age to 21, and it requires, like I said, the licensing and a psych evaluation. So anyone who has ever been hospitalized due to mental illness or homicidal or suicidal thoughts, or if you're even related to anybody, or not related, but if it's in your household.
Lose Gianni?
Oh no, we did.
Having a lot of Wi-Fi issues today. I think that's Tom Brady, pissed at us because we don't want him to win this Super Bowl today.
The Super Bowl is taking over all the bandwidth.
and the weekend. I mean, the weekend he's important. I'm serious.
He ain't no Tom Brady. He ain't no Tom Brady, and I don't even like Tom Brady.
Who cares about Tom Brady anyway? All right, I'll tell you what. We will come back to. I'm sure Gianni Storm will join us back in 1 second. So let's come back to her. All right, we'll come back to her. All right, so we're going to start with me then. We're going to go ahead into my hot topic.
Lies, shenanigans.
And I'm asking the question, is AOC a liar? And is this truth, lies, or shenanigans? I'm going with all of the above. So last week, after being somewhat MIA since the events of January 6th, where terrorists stormed the U.S. Capitol building, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, aka AOC, went to Instagram to share her story from that day. But as to be expected, Fox News and Republicans immediately went to spin mode, using freshman Representative Nancy Mace out of South Carolina as their anti-AOC poster child. So let me play this.
Not at one moment during the events of January 6th did any rioter or any insurrectionist come down the hallways where our offices are located. I took to task the press for making these claims. What I did was state the facts. I live in reality, and I said that there were no rioters in the hallways of Cannon. I'm 2 doors down from you. She lost it. She doesn't deal in reality. I think it's really important that we take members to task when they're not being honest with the American people. This division is hurting our country.
And as you can see, Mace claimed AOC was outright lying. And Fox News perpetuated, saying that AOC claimed there were rioters in the Cannon building where her office was located. But that building was never breached by rioters. Now, this is true, but the problem is AOC never said that. Now, she had an hour-and-a-half conversation, and the news media has been chopping it up into little tiny pieces and leaving out key points in the process, making it easy to spin this story. But I've managed to clip it down for you guys, so that you can get a better overall picture without sitting through the full hour-and-a-half. So let's listen to her explain what exactly happened. See if she's lying. We'll see you can see for yourself.
These folks who tell us to move on, that it's not a big deal, that we should forget what's happened, even telling us to apologize, these are the same tactics of abusers. I'm a survivor of sexual assault. And I haven't told many people that in my life. When we go through trauma compounds on each other. As a survivor, I struggle with the idea of being believed. What's odd is that I am in a job where people are constantly calling me untruthful or that I'm exaggerating. So there's a great irony in that. What they're asking for when they say, can we just move on, is that what they're asking is, can we just forget this happened so that I can do it again? Maybe Senators Josh Hawley or Senator Ted Cruz or Representative Mo Brooks would say, you know what? I was mistaken. I did not realize what the impact of my actions was going to be. But no, they've had almost a month and they haven't said that. They have doubled down and they said I did the right thing. And if I could go back, I would do it all over again. One of the things that I would like us to dispel is the idea this insurrection happened suddenly, about Thursday. Text messages came from other members of Congress saying that they knew and that they were hearing even from Trump people and Republicans that there was violence expected on Wednesday. If you so much as say Black Lives Matter around the Capitol Hill complex, it's like 9 barricades go up. I mean, if you see the protests and the amount of militarization from last year's protests, it was like boom, 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 boom. National Guard comes in, like all these militarized people are around. And here you have lots of people saying that violence is expected on the 6th. And there's just a waist-high parade fence. Anyone who tells you that we couldn't have seen this coming is lying to you. What Capitol Police told House admin is, don't worry, all of the plans are taken care of, but we can't tell you the details. We don't want people who are trying to plan harm to know the details of our security plan. This is like the leadership of Capitol Police and the Sergeant at Arms. So for you all to know, there's the Capitol Hill complex, but members of Congress don't actually work in that building with the dome. There's buildings right next to the dome, and that's where our actual offices are. All of a sudden, I hear boom, 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 boom on my door, then every door going into my office. Like someone was trying to break the door down. No one saying who they were, nobody identifying themselves. I run over to G and he just goes, hide, hide, run and hide. I jump into my bathroom and I just keep hearing these bang, bang, bang. When all of a sudden I hear that whoever was trying to get inside got into my office. And then I just start to hear these yells of, where is she? Where is she? I just thought to myself, they got inside. And so I hide behind my door like this, like I'm here, and the bathroom door starts going like this, like the bathroom door is in front of me, and I'm like this, and the door hinges right here, and I just hear, where is she? Where is she? This was the moment I thought everything was over. I mean, I thought I was going to die. I had a lot of thoughts. I felt that if this was the journey that my life was taking, that I felt that things were going to be okay. And that, you know, I had fulfilled my purpose. I start to look through the door hinge and I see this white man in a black beanie open the door of my personal office and yell again, where is she? I have never been quieter in my entire life. And then all of a sudden I hear my staffer, G, it's okay, come out. And I come out and this man is a Capitol Police officer. But then it didn't feel right. Things weren't adding up. Like there was no partner there. He wasn't yelling like, this is Capitol Police, this is Capitol Police. He was looking at me in all of this anger and hostility, so much hostility that G was sizing him up to fight him. He said, I didn't know if he was there to help us or hurt us. And so the situation did not feel okay. And then he just looks at me and yells at me, go to this other building. We weren't escorted. He didn't follow us. So G and I just start running. After you see the videos, after you hear about what happened with Capitol Police leadership, after you know that leadership knew about the threats of violence and didn't prepare adequately for it, I think about that officer. Did he not say that he was Capitol Police on purpose? Did he lose himself in that moment? Did he not give us the extraction point location because he forgot? Or was he trying to actually put us in a vulnerable situation? Just the very uncertainty that you don't know if that person was actually trying to protect you or not.
She said a lot more. Again, it was an hour and a half, so she said a ton more, but I mean, that gives you a gist of the story where she explained she never said rioters were in the building. She never said that. So,
or she never said that she was in the main part of the Capitol
she never
Dome
said she was.
either.
Matter of fact, she went through the. She gave pictures. She said the Dome building. That's not the building I was in. I mean, how much
What she
clearer can you
specifically
get?
said was she hid in a bathroom first.
I mean,
And then that's where she heard, like, you know, the ambient chatter, the screaming out loud outside of the bathroom. That's where she encountered the Capitol Police officer. And then she said that's when she saw, I believe her name is Representative Katie Porter.
Yep.
From California.
Yep.
She saw her, and Katie Porter was like, come into my office. So they sheltered in Katie Porter's office. And Katie Porter has come out and confirmed AOC's account. 100%. Confirmed her fear and then added in her own fear saying, we didn't know who was in the hallway. We didn't know if the rioters had breached another door, another security point, and if they were coming for us. And you have to imagine or figure that if someone was screaming out in the hallway, where is she? Where is she? They probably were talking about Nancy Pelosi. However, how would you know that? You don't know that for sure. And lest we forget.
Well, Nancy Pelosi's office is actually in the Capitol building.
But you don't, those things don't come into mind, you know, when you are hiding, when you are sheltering in place. And lest we forget, back in July, AOC was accosted on the Capitol steps by a fellow congressman, Congressman Yoho from Florida, called her names, said that she was a liar, got in her face. So why wouldn't she have some type of be triggered in some way?
Yeah, and she spoke several times about other moments where she has feared for her life.
Exactly.
Because I mean, she's had death threats. So the fear is palpable for her. But the question I have is, why is it that a woman just can't be, as AOC said, believed. Why is it so hard to believe a woman when they're telling their moments of trauma? Because this is not an unusual situation, and it is relatively specific to women. So I'm going to start out with Robbie Rock.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. My real struggle when I listened to Nancy Mace's account of the facts, the events that that transpired. No rioters were banging on my door. That seems to be the rhetoric. There were no rioters in the hallway, but she also says that she felt like she was a sitting duck, that her life was in danger, that she took measures to protect her children that day, to make sure that they were sent home early.
Yep.
Mace did, exactly. She's talking about, this is a separate building. It's a 10-minute walk away. Okay, well, a 10-minute walk is a 2-minute run if you're out of shape. So, I mean, people aren't that far, and there's 30,000 of them. They found what they thought were improvised explosive devices.
I just want to say it's not a 10-minute walk. I know DC very well. It's literally across the street, so it's not a 10-minute walk.
The damn street.
But that's
if anybody's lying, I'm going to tell you. I listen to a lot of Nancy Mace. She's lied a lot. So she is a liar. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, that's it. And I understand AOC's trauma being it's something that compacts the experience. Absolutely. But, let's take a look at the facts. Capitol Hill was under siege. There were 30,000 people there. Authorities did not respond in the necessary fashion to keep this from exploding the way that it went. If the officer who was banging on her door did not identify themselves properly as being a member of the Capitol Hill police force and just screaming, "Where is she? Where is she?" That would absolutely trigger a fear response in any normal person. So to me, it's just mind-boggling that she's being attacked by another woman while at the same time saying that she feared for her own life. So how is somebody else's account bullshit if you felt afraid for your life? Someone 2 offices down. It doesn't add up, and it's another one of those Fox pieces. Yeah.
It's another example of party over people. Because if she had said the exact same thing or expressed the exact same sentiments that AOC had, that she was the way AOC expressed them, the way, she emphatically said, "I was afraid. I encountered this officer who did not identify himself and who was screaming, where is she?" and whatever else. If that had been her saying that, no one would have questioned her. At least the conservatives wouldn't have questioned her. Maybe the Dems would have, because again, both sides are party over people.
True.
But it depends
I agree with you on that.
The color of your skin. It depends on the party that you follow, the ideology that you have, whether or not you are going to be believed, whether or not people are going to call you a liar.
Johnny Storm?
Yeah, I think that
when they say they're dealing with trauma.
Well, to answer that question, I think because the way sometimes women communicate can come across emotional, and so that's why I think that the Republican Mace mentioned she doesn't live in reality or she's being exaggerative, and then she also criticized her term as a congresswoman. So I felt like honestly that kind of gave me that it was personal a little bit and like party affiliated, and it wasn't just hearing somebody for what they were actually traumatized by or going through. So I do feel like maybe it's a little bit of both party affiliation and that women have a bad rep and like how we speak and how we come across. Even like in a relationship, sometimes the guy's always like, "Oh, you're overly emotional." Not just to me personally, but like women, we can come across that way. And so when we do,
don't be calling out your man.
But I think that because of that, but I don't see how AOC was becoming emotional. Like she didn't sound, well, she was emotional, but I didn't see how it was anything of just expressing herself from what she was going through. But yeah, it felt personal from Republican Mace's standpoint. It felt like it was personal. She didn't have to criticize her congresswoman term. Like, what was that for? That was unnecessary. But yeah.
And also, I mean, we're in a pandemic. You're getting, intel from inside that are saying, there are rioters out there who are armed, who are chanting, hang Mike Pence. You're hearing all kinds of people screaming in the hallway. You don't know what's going on. Take this scenario, for example. Let's say you're in the mall, right? And you get word, it comes across, the mall intercom that there's an active shooter in the mall on the premises.
You think
If
everybody?
security people in close proximity to you, they're going to tell you to do one of two things. They're going to tell you to evacuate, or they're going to tell you to shelter in place. If by chance, regardless of where you are in the mall, if by chance you choose to shelter in place, as soon as you hear shooter, active shooter on the premises, it does not matter where you are. There is an immediate fear that takes over. I mean, you could be a mile down. If you're like in the Mall of America, which is huge, you could be a mile down on the other side. But there's still that fear because you can't see what's going on the other side of that door. So for these people to come and chide her and call her a liar based on what she was thinking is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And like you said, we often as women, we get called out because we are emotional in certain instances, in certain scenarios. I mean, remember, I cried on the show because I couldn't flush the toilet.
It's BS for people to think that men are not emotional. They just don't.
No. But I said, but we often get it. People expect that of us. Is my point that women are emotional.
And I'm saying that men need to understand that men are emotional. Men need to understand men are emotional. So that's BS to be saying. We call all the time, every time a man's calling like a woman emotional. That's BS. We may show our emotions differently.
Listen, Neil, I guarantee you, if Mike Pence heard those rioters screaming, hang Mike Pence, I guarantee you he was emotional.
And he's going to lie the next day and say he wasn't.
I guarantee you he was screaming for mother at the top of his lungs.
I mean, I only had one real point I wanted to make, but because the thing is, these moronic Fox News people are not going to sit through an hour and a half to get the whole story from anybody. So I've learned that the key difference between Republicans and Democrats is Democrats, if they make a mistake, like they say something wrong, maybe Mace misspoke, maybe she didn't hear the full story, right? And so she's just like, well, hey, we were in the Cannon building and there were no rioters in there because she thought AOC said the rioters were there. The key difference is if a Democrat makes the mistake, they tend to go into defense mode. I'm sorry, didn't mean it, I repent for my sins, etc. While, especially post-Trump era, Republicans tend to double down. They stand by their lies and slander to no end. And mostly because they have Fox News to back them up. I watched Hannity when he was interviewing Mace after all of this. And he, when he was asking the question, said the words, AOC claimed the rioters were at her door. Now, as a news person, you absolutely know that that is a lie. She never said that. But that's
also,
what he said. Those were his words.
The people on Fox News are not journalists. It's more of an entertainment show. So let's be, as a journalist, I take offense every time someone talks about, the journalists from Fox News. Those are not journalists. They do not have journalism degrees. They do not report news with any type of integrity. So that's that. So I expect nothing less from them.
And they can spin the crap out of any story. I mean, it's just, and they have a huge audience that listens to this BS and takes it as news, which is absolutely frustrating. All right. Let's get so Ernest Cooper says, agreed, Neo, that Neo. Mike Winter says, speak on it. White women tears are powerful weapons in this country and are always believed. Salai says, I listened to the whole IG from AOC and the context was so important. Totally agree with you. He says that they want to silence her because she's telling her truth. They're twisting the narrative in a way that only further puts AOC's safety in jeopardy. So ruthless. So there was one question that came to mind because she kept throughout the thing, she insinuated very often that there was things going on. There was unusual things with the Capitol Police, almost insinuating conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
That, you know, she talked about how there would have been barriers if it was Black Lives Matter, but you got a waist high parade fence, which I'm looking at that. I'm like, I've never even seen that when there's a protest at the Capitol.
I think we all in real time were saying the same thing. I know I posted tons on my Facebook page, on my other social media pages. Where are the police? Where, like, what's happening? No one has been arrested. They should have shot them at the door. Like, I did not understand what was going on.
I know
You
they're
had police
investigating,
down on
but
the front lines who were not in proper riot gear. That's why they were fighting with their hands. They didn't even have the proper gear to defend themselves.
she talked
So
about how people have
that is
lost limbs, they've lost eyes. He went
that
into
is
very much detail.
unprecedented. That is unprecedented. And I keep trying to impress upon people who say that it wasn't that big of a deal or whatever. This was the Capitol. Almost the entire US government was in that building at that time, including the sitting vice president. And they I mean, if they had breached, because where the young lady, Ashley Babbitt, where she was shot and they were trying to break down that door, it would have been over if they had gotten through there, which is why they didn't hesitate to shoot her, which is why those rioters ran when she fell. Like, it made no sense that building, that on that particular day, was not protected better than it was.
There's
I mean,
something behind it.
it made no sense at all.
And I'm going to ask this question, and it's going to be kind of a sensitive question. So there were 2 suicides following the of Capitol Police following the insurrection. And again, it's still under investigation, so I'm not claiming anything. But it just, in my mind, I start to wonder, were those possibly murders to hide something more? I mean, we've seen enough movies. We've seen enough movies where there are enough conspiracy theories where people in power will do anything they can to cover things up. And I am just, I mean, I'm not QAnon, but I certainly asked the question in my head, you know, could these suicides have been murdered? Murders look like suicide.
Right, Neil. And when you say that, I think of Jeffrey Epstein. He was, I mean, he had so much dirt on the most powerful people on the planet.
Yep.
No, he was silenced, very much like this. If there was something at a higher level happening, then are people being silenced, or are they complicit with something that they don't want to fall on their sword for? So they're,
And I have a feeling this
death
attacks on
before dishonor.
AOC's is part of that silencing, because she's calling out some very clear things about some discrepancies with, Capitol Police. She's calling out clear discrepancies with, the police officer who was there, right? She's called out problems with actual representatives where she felt like they were out to get her, not just her, but other people who were complicit. So it's not surprising to me that they're going after her like this, and they're using, and Fox News is complicit in it. I think there's more to it.
Let me just answer your question, just, to give the flip side perspective. Yeah, it could be something, more sinister than what we are being told as it relates to the suicides, because there were 2. Hopefully there will be no more. But it also could be a situation where these police officers were triggered just like AOC. Like, we don't know what they saw in that moment, because again, there was a police officer who was beaten to death with a fire extinguisher. There was another police officer, he didn't die, but he was beaten with a flagpole. We saw the police officers that were on the front lines who were having to fight for their lives against these people. We saw the noose that was set up outside that was meant for, initially, first and foremost, Mike Pence. So it could be that, it wasn't a case of someone being murdered. It could be that these police officers were overcome. Like, it was just too much, especially since police officers are used to being the heroes for this faction of people. Blue lives matter. Now all of a sudden, no, you're a traitor, and we're going to kill you. So yeah, it could be a host of things. It could be a host of things.
Yeah. So Jeanette Brown says, I want to get through just a couple more of these if I can. So Jeanette Brown says, say it, white women's tears are always elicit sympathy, but women of color are often disbelieved. Mike Wolf says, ask Al Franken if both sides are party over people. That's true. Kevin Thaxton says, just because it's safe in one zone doesn't mean it's safe in another zone. Yeah.
I think Jacqueline Robinson just brought up a good point too. Some police officers, whether they're MPD, Metro Police, or Capitol Police, some police officers are also military veterans.
Yeah.
And they're still suffering from PTSD.
One thing I want to be clear, I was not discounting the possibility that
I think it's a fair question.
But
it is a fair question.
It was very strange as well. I mean, how quickly it happened. I mean, I don't know anyone who goes through has a suicidal moment, what they're going through. I can't claim to know anything that they were going through, but it's still a lot of strange things. Like AOC was saying, things just simply don't add up. And that was one of them. There's just the swiftness of these suicides, and it's just things don't start to not add up, and it's still not adding up. And I want to see a full investigation. I hope we can somehow get some truth behind a lot that happened at some point. Yeah. All right, we spent a lot of time on that. So let's try to finish up, Gianni. Let's get back to your hot topic again. Let's see if we can breeze through it.
Pose the question to the panel. I think Gianni needed to pose her question to the panel.
Right. Yeah, my question.
Sorry. About a minute ago.
My question in regard to the new proposed bill was: do you believe that this bill is an effective tool in controlling gun violence if it goes through?
Let's start with Robbie Rock.
I read the story and I was enjoying it very much so, because you know how I feel about gun control in the U.S. It's been run by the lobby.
In the show.
Right?
Yeah. That was your first question.
Absolutely. So I'm all for many of the proposals that she is putting forward, just as far as restrictions on the type of ammunition, age restrictions on the licensing of these weapons, psych evaluations, criminal record checks. What? Oh my God. Okay, so people who've been hospitalized due to mental illness, drug or alcohol abuse, homicidal or suicidal thoughts. Great. These are people who shouldn't hold firearms, and I really hope that this legislation goes through. The psych eval is going to be a tough one, but I mean, even if a tenth of what she's proposing gets pushed forward, gets adopted into law, it's a step in the right direction. Because, your entire country needs federal regulations as far as your gun control is concerned. Doing it state by state is a broken policy. The good news is the King of England isn't coming to depose your leaders. You don't need to fight against tyranny from the outside. Now use the legal system to fight tyranny on the inside. They're very outdated ideas for holding on to these firearms, and especially, like, who needs 50 cal rounds? Military and law enforcement at best. And if you demilitarize the criminal element, good news, your police force doesn't need 50 cal rounds anymore. Just your military to take care of external threats. I'm all for it, Johnny. I really hope that some of the reform that she's proposing will get pushed through.
What questions did you have about the psych eval? Do you feel like that might be too extensive for individuals to have to go through?
It's I guess it would really depend on the implementation of it, what the parameters would be, and I guess it's going to be how the gun retailers are going to be upholding any of the decisions that come about from it. Oh, the National Gun Registry is down. Ah, shoots. Well, let's get this through real quick. That kind of shit needs to disappear.
Yeah. Lizzie, your thought?
So Rob brought up a good point when he talked about the types of weapons that a lot of people have, or people who are pro NRA or what have you, or they say that, they fear that we're taking away their rights. And a lot of these are, like he said, militarized weapons, assault rifles, AK-47s, Uzis. And my question is, who are you arming yourself against? Who do you think is coming to get you, that you need all of this weaponry, that you need all of this firepower? And if you look at the laws in this country, I had to fill out more paperwork to get my apartment in New York City, to get my apartment in DC, than anyone ever has to fill out in this country to get a gun. I had to provide all of tax returns, renting history, financial papers and documents. I had to get, people to send in recommendations for me. You don't have to do that to buy a gun. If you are even living in a city or a state that requires a background check, it's a very quick process. Yet I can't, rent an apartment. I can't buy a house, buy a condo without all of this paperwork. Even if you take it a further notch down, think of all of the, stuff you have to fill out to get your driver's license. You have to take a test. Think you have to have insurance. Think of all of the paperwork you have to fill out to get a car. But yet, in many states in this country, you could just walk into a store, or you can get something on the black market. Let's not, look beyond the black market. But for legal gun ownership, you could just walk into a store, boom, get a gun. And not have, there's no record of you buying that gun. There's no registry. There's no background check, nothing. So yeah, I'm in favor for a lot of this stuff. I'm with Rob B. I think the psychological exam, it has to be implemented in a very sensitive manner.
Yeah.
But at the very least, we need to be keeping track of who is buying these guns and what type of guns they're buying and why.
Yeah, my thoughts are, I mean, I'm all for it. Like you say, we need a license to drive a car. Um, we have to we regulated alcohol, regulated weed. I mean, there are lots of things that, although may be constitutionally okay, or a right, so to speak, that we can still regulate and control. You know, yeah, I still think the Second Amendment can be modified. Nothing wrong with it. Because we're living in a different time where we do have police forces, we do have military. I mean, we can't totally trust our police force. Um, but at the same time, I think we're in a position where, at the very least, we should have it regulated. At the very least, regulated and controlled, minimal.
Yeah, the minimum.
Just because of the sheer number of deaths associated. I mean, people are dying from guns. I mean, yes, it is who has the guns, but if you compare the U.S., to other countries who have stricter gun laws, the deaths are lower from guns. I mean, it's just an obvious solution. All right, so real quick on these comments, right?
So Von Perry made a good comment. Real quick, Von Perry made a good comment. He says, the GOP wants to make it harder for you to vote than they do to own a gun.
That is a great point. Yes. I mean, obviously, because the GOP doesn't want their voters, they don't want us to go out there and vote. So, the more of us that go vote, the easier it is for us to vote, the more of us will be out there voting. Terry Blaine Priest, there are responsible people that conduct themselves properly, but there will always be the people who do not. Regulations are much needed. Vanessa G., if you have a legitimate reason to have a gun and nothing to hide, then why fight getting a license? Great.
Exactly.
Great.
And Vanessa's husband is a very responsible gun owner. He has been hunting. It's a generational thing. They have 100 acres, a couple of hours outside of the city. And I know Chris to be a very responsible gun owner. And to his chagrin, he inherited his father's guns when his father passed away, who was a lifetime hunter. So, he finds himself in a situation with too many guns. And when it happened, he was like, Rob, what do I do? Well, like, I've got more, I've got way too many. But that said, if you're a responsible gun owner and you are using it for a legitimate purpose, and you are storing your gun ammunition and your weapons responsibly under lock and key separately, and you are properly licensed for it, okay, you're doing the right thing.
All right. That's all the time we have.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Great topic, Gianni Storm. And of course, we always love to end our show with a fun game show. Let's get into it. All right, today's game is a millionaire. You work as a team again. I'm picking Lizzie as your captain. She hasn't been a captain yet. You'll answer a series of questions, and your goal is to get $1 million. You'll have 4 lifelines. Switch the question. One of the lifelines is switch the question, ask the app, 50-50, and ask the audience. So you have 4 lifelines this time. You'll have 15 seconds to lock in your final answer, and I'll award the most valuable player with the final thought of the show. All right, are you ready, Lizzie?
Sony. Sony.
Okay, let me read it to our people who are listening on the podcast. Which is not a manufacturer of cars? A, Honda,
Sony.
B, Mitsubishi, C, Sony, or D, Renault. So you're going final answer, Sony. Sony is the correct answer. All right, good job. You have $500.
Captain, our captain.
You're already in the lead for most valuable player. Which breed of dog was named after a state in Mexico? A, Lhasa Apso, B, Labrador, C, Chihuahua, or D, Mastiff?
Ooh, Chihuahua.
Ooh.
Ooh, Chihuahua.
I assume is this the final answer?
The ill-tempered Chihuahua.
Okay,
Yes.
final answer.
Ill-tempered.
That is
They are
correct.
Ding,
ding, ding. What is wrong with this thing? All
right. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. The best day of the year. Robert Earl Newman's birthday. Michael Myers coming out party.
All right. When do children traditionally go trick-or-treating? A, November 5th, B, April 1st, C, August 5th, 15th, or D, October 31st. So I guess you're not
Anyone who knows me knows this is my favorite day. Even beyond my birthday. My favorite day of the year.
All right.
Halloween.
So you're $3,000. So which civil rights activist is famous for the I Have a Dream speech? Would it be A, Malcolm X, B, Martin Lawrence, C, Barack Obama, or D,
Martin Lawrence?
I got this. MLK Jr. I got this one.
Is it Martin? Is it Martin, y'all? Is it Martin?
All right, so we're good. Martin. Highlands. Okay, we'll just move to this. All right, you're up to $5,000. Good job. All right, who was the last queen of Hawaii? Would that be A, Alexandra, B, Elizabeth, C, Victoria, or D,
I ain't never been no queen of Hawaii.
Liliuokalani?
Maybe the D, because the name seems foreign.
I don't know if Hawaii ever fell under British rule.
So one of my dear,
50, I'm putting the clock on. Putting the clock on. 15
one of my
seconds.
exes and dear friends from my childhood is a native Hawaiian. D.
All right, D. Final answer?
D. Yeah.
Come on, Captain.
That is correct. D. Liliuokalani. All right. I don't know where that's coming from. All right.
Oh, this is easy.
Who is the arch rival of Popeye? Easy for you. I wonder if Gianni Storm knows.
Pluto.
Would that be Pippin, Aldo, Bluto, or Skanky?
I thought it was Bluto.
Skanky is Olive's lesser-known sister.
All right.
Bluto was Skanky, but it's Bluto.
All right. All right. You're up to $10,000. Great job. So, which actor plays the demon barber in the movie Sweeney Todd? Would that be A, Robert Pattinson, B, Orlando Bloom, C. Daniel Radcliffe, or
Johnny
D.
Depp, right?
Johnny Depp?
It was
I
Johnny
think
Depp.
it's
Are we,
Johnny Depp, Mr. Edward
It was Johnny
Scissorhands himself.
Depp.
Oh yeah, great movie, great
I
musical
love Johnny
movie.
Depp.
okay, is this final answer, Lizzie?
Yes, final answer.
Johnny Depp. That is correct. Ding, 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 ding.
Right.
All right. You are up to 12,500. Great job, guys. So who is the co-pilot of the Millennium Falcon? Millennium, would that be A, Han Solo, B, Yoda, C, Luke Skywalker, or D, Chewbacca?
Where do I order all of my pet supplies?
I'm gonna have to go back to the other game. Looks like Kevin Thaxton's getting all the right answers, by the way.
Kevin Thaxton always gets the
Was
answer.
that final answer, Chewbacca? Okay. All right, final answer.
Chewie Chewbacca.
All right. Great job. 15,000. You're playing for 15,000. All right. What was Cary Grant's real name? Was it A, William Grant, C, Cary Leach, C, Archibald Leach, or D,
What you think,
Cary
Rob?
Grant?
I think
Is it A?
50-50. I think
What?
50-50.
You want to use a
50-50.
50-50?
Oh, 50-50.
All right. I want
I
to see
got
who online
no
gets
idea.
this answer right. I want to see who online gets
Remember,
this.
my daddy was old.
So 50-50
so-
is that final answer, Lizzie?
No, I know the answer.
Oh, you know the answer?
Well, then,
My
Okay.
daddy was old.
What's the answer?
What is it, Liz?
Is that your final answer?
Yes, my dad
Really?
was old.
Archibald, that is correct. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, all right. Good
Huge
job.
Cary Grant
Good.
fan. He was a huge Cary Grant fan.
All right, now you're playing for $25,000. All right. Yeah, Latoya had no idea. Oh, Jacqueline Robinson knew.
Because
Right.
we have this.
Nice.
Hello, that's my sister.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
We need our dad.
Axton had it too. All right. Which of these foods is a great source of vitamin PP?
That's a vitamin?
Liver.
PP.
You got me. Hey, I've never heard of it before, but would it be tuna? A, tuna, B, coffee, C, liver, or D, egg? Vitamin PP.
Let's
Tuna.
ask the co-host who has a PP. Rob B, what do you think?
Again,
You have some
that's a
lifelines.
vitamin?
Oh, yeah, Lifeline.
You can switch the
Yeah, we can
answer.
use a lifeline. I have no idea.
You can switch the answer. You can go to the audience, or you can ask the app, or you can do a 50-50.
Let's ask the audience.
I'll ask the audience. All right. Well, you can also involve the audience online as well, so they can get involved. It looks like Vaughn Perry says liver. Baxton says liver. And it says C and here it says C, liver, 72%. So
What do you guys think?
What do
I
you think?
take it because my liver is probably dead these days, and I don't have a lot of PP in my body.
All right, so liver, is that your final answer, Lizzie?
Liver is our final
Liver,
answer.
final answer. Liver is correct.
Oh.
Ding, 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 ding. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys.
A million.
Thank you, friends. Thank you.
Latoya says, don't ask me, I'll guess something silly. All right. So 50,000. What candy bar is mistaken for duty in the 1980 comedy Caddyshack? Would that be
Robbie,
A, Snickers, B, Baby Ruth, C,
I
Hershey's,
do not
or
know
D, Milky Way? I think I know.
I think it's a baby
Caddyshack?
Ruth.
you think
I
what,
would-
I was
Rob?
going to say Baby Ruth, too.
I think it's a baby Ruth.
Baby Ruth.
You have some
I mean, that
lifelines
was-
now if you're not sure. Because you know
You
it
know
ends
it,
right here.
Neil?
You'll end with 50. You'll end with 25,000.
I'm gonna say,
You
Robbie,
are getting some responses. I'm gonna put the
I
timer
think
on now.
Baby
Hold on.
Ruth, because Caddyshack is about kind of like a knock on golf, and Baby Ruth is another sport. So
Oh, yeah,
let's go
7
with
seconds.
Baby Ruth.
No.
Baby
Baby
Ruth.
Ruth.
Right.
All right. Baby Ruth it is. That is correct. Baby Ruth.
Yeah.
Baby Ruth. All right.
Yay.
Good job. All right. You are up to
Nice.
100. You might actually get this thing. You're up to $100,000. So, and you got a bunch
How much
online.
are you
Vaughn
gonna
Perry,
pay out?
Kevin Thaxton
How
got
much
it.
are you gonna pay out?
Yeah,
I know.
We're
We
going
gotta
to pay
split
you
it.
out with a final thought. All right.
All the glory you want.
Who starred in
all the glory.
1952 film Singing in the Rain? I know this.
Oh, good
Would that be
grief.
Dick
Oh.
Van Dyke, Gene Kelly,
Gene.
Bing Crosby, or Fred Astaire? Singing in the
Gene
Rain.
Kelly. Gene Kelly.
Is this a final answer?
Again, I had
You
an
don't
old
want to
daddy.
consult with your team?
She's
I
our
mean,
captain,
Robbie,
and she
it is
seems
Gene
so
Kelly.
sure.
We're going with Gene Kelly?
Yeah.
Final answer? Final answer. That is correct.
Why
Ding,
have
ding,
I
ding,
heard
ding,
that
ding,
name
ding. All right, you are up to 250,000. 3 answers away from a million. A million reasons to get a nice final thought. All right.
Rich.
So, from which spacecraft did Edward White become the first American to walk in space? Would that be Gemini 4, Gemini 2, Gemini 1, or Gemini 3?
I mean, you have the,
Mike Wolf had Gene Kelly.
I know. Oh, let's ask Mike Wolf.
Ask Mike Wolf. All right. All right. I'm going to set the timer, but did you want to use some timeline? I mean, some lifeline.
I'm not a Gemini.
Yeah, 50-50.
But
You got to ask the app,
There's
or you
4
can
of
switch the
them.
question altogether.
Would you like to switch the question, Liz?
15 seconds.
Yeah, let's switch the
I
question.
feel like Neo knows this
okay,
answer.
let's switch the question.
All right, switch the
But I
question.
think I know the answer to this one, but let's switch the question.
All right, I think it's Gemini 4, by the way. All right, let me see if I can
I
stop.
think it's Gemini 4 too. I've never heard of the other one.
I couldn't stop the time. All right, so what make of car is named after the founder of Detroit? Would that be A, Chevrolet, B, Buick, C, Ford, or D, Cadillac? Named after the founder of the city of Detroit.
I mean, would you want to claim that you're the founder of the city of Detroit?
Well, I mean,
All right, starting the timer. 15
That's
seconds.
true.
whoever it is,
let me know if you want to use a lifeline.
Yeah.
Buick.
6 seconds.
It's
I think
not
it's
Ford. I know
Cadillac.
it's
Want to do
not
a
Ford.
lifeline?
I think it's Cadillac.
Yeah.
Lifeline? Hello.
Ooh.
All right. I'm
Well,
going
I think it's Cadillac.
Liz
You want
said
Cadillac
Cadillac.
final answer?
Yeah, I'm
Liz
down
said
with that.
Cadillac, so Cadillac
Come
is.
on, Captain, my captain.
I've never
That
heard
is
of a
correct.
Buick.
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh, she did it. She pulled it out.
Good
All right.
job,
Heard of
Liz.
a
2 questions away
Buick
from a million. All right. $500,000 is for 500,000.
easy.
You got it easy. What minor league
Nice.
baseball team? Yeah, this is easy. Did Michael Jordan play for after his first retirement from basketball? Was it the A, Boise Hawks, B, Bristol White Sox, C, Kirkland Cyclones, or D, Birmingham Barons?
Let me go get the card. I'll be right back.
If Lizzie didn't know that, then we would be.
I mean, so very quick story. So Michael Jordan stopped speaking officially to Sports Illustrated magazine. He would not give us any quotes. He would not grant us any interviews. After we ran the cover, kind of chiding him for his leaving basketball to play baseball. So he was on the cover, Baggett Michael. And he took so much offense to that he never gave us a formal interview again. So yes, I know this story. It is the Birmingham Barons.
Birmingham, is that the final answer?
Final answer.
Birmingham Barons, because I think I would have guessed the Sox. All right, good job, Lizzie. Ding, ding, ding.
We have multiple lifelines.
You got 2 lifelines for the $1 million question. All right.
Woo.
Which dam includes the largest hydroelectric power plant in the world?
You
have 2 lifelines to use. You have a 50-50.
So
and
50-50 off the hop. Let's get it down to 2.
You ready to use it? 50-50.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So your choices are Three Gorges Dam or Bankyo Dam.
Who's the largest hydroelectric power plant?
Did you want to use the other lifeline? It's your $1 million question. You might as well. I'm going to use it for you. So it looks like the answer is A, according to the app.
Einstein.
Now let's
Einstein says A. So
All
it
right.
must be A.
Come on.
What's the payout, Neo? What's the payout?
You get a final answer because you're definitely MVP of this one.
All right, A.
Three Gorges. All right, Three Gorges Dam for $1 million. Let's see. Woohoo! That's the right answer.
We made it.
$1 million. did it. That was fun. It a little longer than I expected, but it was fun.
I know, right? Only what, 30 minutes to the Super Bowl? Come on, let's go.
I
Let's
thought
go.
you guys
Let's
would lose
go.
a little sooner. All right, so let's get our final shout out. All right, Gianni Storm, shout outs real quick.
Shout out to you guys for hanging in there when I kept disappearing because my phone kept dying. So thank you for that, and shout out to my little sister. I miss her.
All right, Robbie Rod.
Hi, Gianni's sister.
Gianni's sister. Is she online? She should come online.
Yeah, I tell her to watch. Hopefully she's watching today. But
come on, Johnny's sister, watch.
Are you Robbie Rod?
Watch.
Shout out to Budweiser for winning the Super Bowl. Instead of paying to air a stupid, expensive ad, they're reallocating their media investment to raise awareness about COVID-19 vaccines throughout the year. Way to go, Bud.
Nice. Lizzie Enders, shout out.
Shout out to the young Black female YouTuber who put Gorilla Glue in her hair to sit back and have to go to the ER to have it removed. And this is a shout out warning. Ladies, be smarter about this. Anything that has glue in it, do not put in your hair.
Do not mess with Gorilla Glue. Do not mess with Gorilla Glue. Gorilla Glue is amazing. Don't mess with it.
It's industrial.
She put it in her hair.
And sprayed it. It was like aerosol. All right. My shout out goes to my wonderful brother Solomon. His birthday is Tuesday. And also to my grandmother, who would have been 94 years old today. Aww. 94 years old she would have been today. All right, that's it for shout out. All right. Keep in mind, if you want a shout out from TLS, follow and reach out to any of our hosts on their social media pages. Tell them you want a shout out. All right, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. We hope that maybe you learned something, gained a new perspective, even got some things off the chest. Don't forget, we need your support to keep us going. Like, follow, and subscribe at TLSLiveShow. If you missed any of today's episodes, check out our clips online on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the audio replay of the podcast on iTunes and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. I had a fun time. I hope you did too. The next live show is Wednesday, February 10th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Also, Olivia E. goes live on Fridays for our new unscripted show. So check that out on Instagram and TikTok. Looks like our winner is Lizzie Enders, our MVP. So Lizzie Enders, close us out.
So just wanted to give a quick, recognition to Bob Lee, Michael Smith, BJ Schechter. I will be joining these amazing gentlemen in the sports journalism world, this coming Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Seton Hall University's College of Sports Media in their communications department. We're doing a panel on diversity, inclusion, necessity, sports in a time like no other. Please join us. If you tune into the TLS Facebook page, I will put the information there. I will put it on our Twitter page. I will put it on the TLS IG page. Join us. It's a fun panel.
I'm looking forward to it, so I'm going to definitely check that out. All right, guys. See you guys on Wednesday. Have a good one.
Shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth,